Do you ever look at a mundane chart, a horoscope chart for a country, and wonder how you connect to the country itself? Well, I'm going to show you how synastry connects and how you are connected to your country while looking at astrology mundane charts. And first, we're going to start off with the chart of Nigeria. For the mundane chart, astrology chart of Nigeria, we are given a birth time of the 1st of October 1960, and that is the day they got their independence. Don't think we got there as that official time, but definitely been a day, and it's only just last year gone that Nigeria just celebrated 61 years of independence, so congratulations to them. And we're looking into their chart. One of the first things we're going to start off looking at is the ascendant. The ascendant is the rising sign. And when we're looking at Nigeria's chart, we see that they have the rising sign in Cancer at 0 degrees. 0 degrees in an astrological sign is considered a critical degree. So critical degrees got many different numbers, but at 0 degrees, right at the beginning of when it's just gone freshly into a new sign. So it's gone into a sign in Cancer with Nigeria, which means that part of its chart ruler is the moon. And we can see the moon is actually deposited in the 8th house in Aquarius. Being in Aquarius, we already know that Aquarius is an air sign. An air sign has got to do with communication, technology. It's got to do with breaking free. And we already see that Nigeria is a country that's got quite a lot of languages that's in Nigeria. Also, the moon rules the home. So we might find out a lot of people that is of moon risings or connected to Nigeria have a very deep connection being in the 8th house, because the 8th house rules intensity. Whatever is deep, it rules transformation. But also the moon is in Aquarius, and Aquarius has got to do with breaking free. Aquarius is the friendship sign that likes to detach. So it's about communication, getting to know people, but also maybe breaking free, maybe to be able to nurture themselves in the home, maybe to create finances. 8th house, Scorpio. It's got to do with other people's money, what's hidden, taking something, transforming it to make it brand new. It's got a lot to do with banks. Another interesting fact about the moon being in Aquarius is that it's actually in detriment in Aquarius. It's not a bad sign to be in, but detriment's just showing the energy of sometimes how the people themselves, which Aquarius rules, will speak about how they feel with the moon being in Aquarius. So we kind of see with a lot of people from the country that they have to nurture themselves sometimes by traveling and going to another country and sending money back to their home. Or you a lot of the time hear Nigerians speak about how they feel that a lot of resources was robbed from their land and given to other places, and they don't get to use as much as their own things themselves. So we heard the energy of the people themselves, because Aquarius is the sign that rules groups, and the people kind of vocally speak about that. Or you get a lot of the time them having to travel internationally and sending money back home to nurture, helping cousins and brothers and uncles and family members. And again, that moon in the 8th house in Aquarius that's the energy we hear when people talk about the country itself. A positive side to that moon being in Aquarius in the 8th is we hear a lot of the time the people themselves highly praise how they've been able to transform their lives a lot of the time through technology, through computers, through even uncles, family members, traveling, staying with aunts in different homelands. Again, it's the moon in Aquarius, a detached way sometimes of nurturing. So a lot of the times we might see family members more expanded, consistence of aunts and grandparents and a more distant family nature, but also quite close because it's in the eighth house, so it's still a deep bond. Also, we can't forget that Aquarius is the revolutionary sign, so we might get a lot of people of a revolutionary nature about their home when it comes to Nigeria. That connection never dies. Also, Aquarius has a lot to do about technology, so maybe they are strong users of technology, whether that be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook's, loads of social medias is part of technology, but maybe they're quite strong on using technology and their intellect to be able to transform their homes, their living situation, how they get food, how they nurture their families. The second interesting thing about Nigeria's mundane chart is they do have a Cancer rising, but they've also got Mars in the first house conjunct their ascendant. So being conjunct, it means it's literally formed disjoined. It's acting as one. So even though they're ruled by the moon, which is in the eighth house, the house of power, the house of transformation, they've also got Mars in the first house, which might give a lot of Nigerians a fearless, strong nature, fearlessly independent when it comes to nurturing their homes, their families, their loved ones. And we do kind of see that with a lot of well-known Nigerian celebrities, artists, business people around the world, that fearless nature that comes out of them. Also with Mars in the first, and Mars being the planet that rules work, we mostly see that a lot of people from Nigeria might have quite a strong work ethic, and also the moon being a planet that rules women as well. We kind of see that on both spectrums, that whether it's men or women, they are quite strong for working, or they're always leading the forefront somehow for their families and their home. Another side of Mars being in Cancer is that it's debilitated in Cancer. I don't necessarily like being in Cancer as much as it likes being in other signs, but that don't make it bad. But we just see the energy in Nigeria's mundane chart, and an example of that with Aries ruling their 10th house, the house of structures and systems and government, is that maybe there's a lot of people on the land of Nigeria that may want to work but find it hard to get work. It might be hard for them. Maybe they got problems with their own housing or paperwork or getting past governmental systems to be able to get out there and work. Positive aspect to their Mars is that it is in the first house, so that can actually make it actually strong again. So we again see how a lot of people from Nigeria have made it possible to be working from home and to be able to dominate work and finance and money and bring resources to themselves from the land itself via artists, musicians, Nollywood, which is on all of our TV screens. They've been able to find other ways to produce work. Another interesting factor about that Venus Neptune conjunction making a square to the moon, and also a sextile to Saturn squaring the sun at the same time, with the moon being in Aquarius and also being the ruler of America's natal chart, and Aquarius ruling reality TV. One of the things that straight away comes to my mind on reality TV is the show 90 Day Fiancé in America. And one of the most famous couples from that show was a couple called Angela and Michael. And it was all about them trying to get together via marriage and trying to get their stay within the 90 days that America requires them to do it. And with the couple, with Michael and Angela, there was a lot of controversy, which is also something that Aquarius rules. That's why it's reality TV, conspiracy, controversy. But it was very entertaining at the same time, and a lot of people would have watched it worldwide. And again, we've seen it another way in how Nigeria has been able to nurture themselves via TV and reality TV and getting worldwide, that Venus-Neptune conjunction. Another thing that straight away pops to mind when I'm thinking about Nigeria and that Mars aspect, they got square in the sun and making a trine to Venus Neptune conjunction at the same time. Venus and Neptune ruling creativity, ruling arts, ruling things of pleasure. Straight away makes me think of the Grammy Award winning artist Burna Boy, who has dominated the charts worldwide for his music and creativity. Also, earlier this year, he collaborated with another Grammy Award winner, Sean Combs, an album to pull out. So again, we see that whole energy with that Venus Neptune trining the Mars in the first house and squaring the sun, and also he himself is a sun in Cancer. So he's become worldwide known. Nigeria does have their sun making a trine with ease to that moon in the eighth house. So again, we're seeing a lot of people from Nigeria being able to transform their life for the better worldwide, especially through art. Sun Venus. Sun and Moving on through the chart, we're going to look at another aspect, and we're going to look at their aspect they have of their Jupiter or Uranus, making a trine to Jupiter and also making a sextile to Mercury at the same time. And their Jupiter is actually very quite strong, like it's in Sagittarius, and Jupiter is naturally ruled by Sagittarius. It's a sign that's about morals, philosophy. It's about travels. It's about opinions. It's about higher education. So we quite see that a lot of people from Nigeria, especially the young people, education is something that is very much requested of them. Also, looking at that same aspect, it is quite common to see, or even hear in the news, there always some kind of child genius coming out of Nigeria, someone that's got an IQ that's higher than, way above average of other countries a lot of the time. So again, we see that with that aspect, with that Uranus making a trine to Jupiter, at the same time sextiling their natal Mercury, and those planets have definitely got a lot to do with education, lower education, higher education. Also, Jupiter, a lot to do about morals and philosophies and religion. And majority of the people in Nigeria are Christian. Or if not Christian, they are definitely still religious. And that is the strong aspect we see with that chart. Another funny thing that connects with that Jupiter is last year, I think it was BBC done a documentary on a pastor they called Pastor Toby, who actually lives in the United Kingdom, and he actually runs a big church called SPAC Nation that got quite popular. And one of the reasons it got quite popular is because the pastor himself, who I think was a Scorpio, likes to flaunt a lot of money and buy designers. And one of the last things I remember popping up on the news or in the papers was the pastor himself buying a helicopter or some kind of plane. I don't know how true it was or if it was just a joke, but right there we see the popularity of the Jupiter energy. He's a pastor and also known to have made millions, but unfortunately, some downfall, we also see that energy again with the Venus Neptune, because he's hit the news worldwide with that Venus Neptune squared to the moon. And a lot of people in the UK was accusing him of fraud. So, but it definitely connects with Nigeria, and he proudly represents Nigeria as the place he's from and where he started his spiritual journey. Nigeria has also got a Mars-Saturn approaching opposition, with Mars at 4 degrees and Saturn at 12 degrees in the 7th house. And we also kind of hear that kind of energy coming out of Nigeria when we think of the civil wars that they've had in their own country. Like, Nigeria's had quite a bit of civil wars against their own government. That's the kind of energy, again, with picking up with that opposition. Also with their Mars in the 10th house, ruling the house of structures and systems. So it's definitely much with of that with that opposition. Another thing I find really interesting about Nigeria's natal chart and how it connects synastry wise to people with that Jupiter, the planet ruling travels, it being in the sixth house, which is the house of Mercury's house, Virgo's house, the house of your day to day activity, the house of work, health, and also with the trine it has from Uranus and Leo going to Jupiter, and Uranus being a planet that rules brotherhoods. It makes me also think about other people in different countries, Uranus ruling countries, that also have got quite famous worldwide. It's making a sextile to the Mercury in the middle, and in UK alone, there are quite a number of people that are of Nigerian origins that are famous. Two famous people are siblings, brothers, Skepta and JME, and they run a record label and loads of music called Boy Better Know. Definitely links to that kind of energy where they've been making money for years and been able to dominate worldwide, travel a lot. They're known in a number of different countries. Definitely showing with that aspect there that a lot of people that's connected to Nigeria still are quite strong in other countries, producing that wealth, but still keeping connected very much to their country. Another example of that, again, with the siblings and dominating worldwide fame and resources and money, with that Uranus trine to Jupiter, sextile and Mercury, is another set of brothers, which is the self-made millionaire YouTube star. I think his name is KSI, and he had a YouTube boxing match with a famous American brothers, Logan Paul and Jake Paul. Just of recently, one of them had a fight with Mayweather. But again, we're seeing that sibling energy, brotherhoods, being able to get into the reality TV, or self-made, done it themselves, all from the home. Also, we can see with Nigeria, they have Saturn in Capricorn, falling in their seventh house. So maybe Nigerians have a lot of ancestry falling throughout a lot of other people throughout the world with their Venus-Neptune conjunction in Scorpio without people really knowing it. It's Saturn being in its own sign. I mean, any sign when it's in its own sign is actually quite strong. So we see that kind of energy with Nigerians dominating quite worldwide, and people getting tests all over the world these days, 23andMe and Ancestry. They're finding out they got links to Nigeria. So things like that has got a lot to do with it. Another prime example of the intellectual trait and that aspect with Uranus and Jupiter, Mercury working in Nigeria, is the fact that Nigeria alone has over 520 languages spoken in the country alone. That itself is extreme numbers, more than 520 languages. Wow. Nigeria definitely uses their intellect to be able to create different ways to be able to communicate with each other, but also to create brotherhoods and tribes within their own country. So they have their own languages they speak within their groups. And there's billions of different groups in Nigeria. So it's another way of how that aspect works. Another interesting thing about Nigeria's mundane chart and their moon aspect is it shares its sign with Chiron, the wounded healer, the asteroid, making an opposition in that with that Uranus in Leo. And last year we kind of saw a bit of that when we saw that the SARS movement erupt suddenly in Nigeria, and unfortunately seeing a lot of people getting wounded online, on internet, people pleading for help through the internet, through technology means. And also the large blackout they had when the electricity was cut out to stop people from seeing anywhere. But some of them was only managing to get bits of lights and things through their technology and things they've self-made themselves from their phones and through the internet. So we kind of saw a bit of that that energy. Also with that Chiron making a trine to Mercury, a lot of people that come from Nigeria, they're quite expressive in telling you about the wounds and the healing and the wound side of Nigeria alone in the country. So quite open about how hard it is sometimes to transform and the things they've had to go through to be able to make transformations, to be able to get on with their daily life, but also having a large futuristic side of hope for the future to be able to change it through revolutionary means like the internet or just travel or through brotherhood. Another interesting thing about Nigeria and their Venus-Neptune conjunction, making a square to the moon in the 8th house. The Venus and Neptune being in Scorpio as well, and the 8th house ruling transformation and whatever's deep, and Venus ruling beauty is where we got a lot of women in Nigeria that's made the $1 billion statuses of wealth via selling oil, or whether it's beauty products or hair products or a lot of the things that are sold worldwide. Neptune, again, that we use in our day-to-day life. And a couple Nigerian women was actually on the Forbes list of ranking in billions. There were so many I couldn't even remember the numbers, but definitely a lot of that, and we see that with the Venus-Neptune conjunction. Also, there's quite a lot of spiritual charities to help females from going through anything that's harsh related in Nigeria, any harsh self-sacrifices, trafficking and things like that happen quite worldwide, but Nigeria's got quite a lot of charities at the forefront trying to help their ladies and or anyone in a spiritual way among the world. Also, an interesting thing about the Venus-Neptune conjunction and the fact that their midhaven is ruled by Pisces, which is Neptune's planet, it's Neptune's sign, is that unfortunately as well, there could be a lot of questions worldwide about finances and where it goes in Nigeria. People feel that a lot of money sometimes can go missing. Like sometimes they might feel that their finances get conned by people misleading them. We see things like documentaries sometimes on the TV of fraud and things like that, quite famously for things of that nature. So that's another part of that energy. Like sometimes the Venus money and financial things we see could be used for a lot of good, but also we could see that sometimes not so good, or literally missing money, people robbing money, or in the past they've accused political leaders of keeping back money from the people and not helping them with resources. Also, with that Venus-Neptune aspect, we do have a couple ladies that are known for their creativity and has got out there among the world. I think a singer called Tiwa Savage is quite known worldwide now through performing with Burna Boy, is of Nigerian origin. Also, there was another young lady from the United Kingdom called Shabo that was a young rapper, and again, she definitely displays that kind of energy as well, because she's an edgy rapper that's kind of come from nothing and turned herself into something. But also she shows us that 8th house transformation energy with whatever video she is in. She's got a different colour hair, or her image is different, a bit like a Nicki Minaj. So again, we're seeing that with the Venus-Neptune aspect, and it's going quite well for her. Again, another interesting thing about Nigeria's chart and the sun being in Libra in the 4th house, and it making a trine to this chart ruler, the moon, and a square to Saturn at the same time, is that Nigeria is known worldwide as the 7th most populous country in Nigeria, and also the country that's got over 200 million homes for people out there. One of the countries with the highest number of black people also. So it's funny how the sun and Mercury in a wide conjunction share a house in the same sign, and also they got Pluto falling in their 3rd house in Virgo, giving that same kind of mercurial energy. So a lot of the time you can see it's got quite a strong day-to-day activity with it ruling that house, and then Jupiter in the 6th of black people. You can even see it in the chart. The moon being in the 8th, still there. Another example of Nigeria's strong Saturn energy, with their Saturn being in the natural ruling sign of Capricorn, is that Nigeria is a member of the British Commonwealth. So we see that energy there with Nigeria when it comes to governments. They're quite strong in wanting to be in the lead front of it. Nigerians might be quite serious when it comes to the structures of their land and their people and anything that's got to do with Nigeria. And we kind of heard the energy this week as well. Kind of comical thing that happened in the news was Nigeria's president banning the people of Nigeria from using Twitter because they did not put out a tweet of his. So again, he was not happy about the communication. We see that kind of energy with their Sun square Saturn. Like the government was not happy about not getting light on his communication, again with the planet Mercury falling at 28 degrees in Libra as well. A lot to do with communication in Nigeria. They like to bring light to what they feel about structures and systems among Africa and maybe also throughout the world. Another example of that moon being in the 8th house and their Pluto falling in the 2nd house of values and the earth and structures is that a lot of oil has come out from Nigeria from the 1970s. Nigeria has been supplying a lot of oil throughout the world, so that's another way of how they've created finance to be able to nurture the land of Nigeria. Anyway, bringing things to an end now because it's getting late. Just like we look at synastry between people, whether it's partnerships, friendships, family groups, we can kind of see the synastry between people and countries, or sometimes just connections, synastry-wise, and how you connect with people of the country. Nigeria has a chart ruler ruled by the moon. Are you a Cancer rising? Do you have any connections to Nigeria, or do you have a lot of Nigerian friendships? Or are you a Sagittarius rising? Have you ever took a trip there and enjoyed it? You might take a trip there and they want you to teach them your philosophy, or they might want to marry you, or they might think you're famous. You might end up being on a TV show, reality show like 90 Day Fiancé, who knows? Either way, it's quite interesting. And if you want to know, just like Nigeria's got Mars in the 1st house, you should start by looking at the self, like Mars rules, and see the self and any connections that you might have to any country. But until next time, thanks. So this is the Venewsian Astrology Archives, and see you next time when we look at another natal chart.